Welcome back to West Texas View.
Family and inheritance of problems. Welcome back to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and Dr. Bobby Jane, who is head of the Department of Psychiatry for the Texas Tech University Health Science Center, is our guest today, and we're talking about the profession of psychiatry and how limited we are in the number of doctors that we have in this field. To be a psychiatrist, let me summarize, you have to be a full medical doctor, but you work with psychologists who do a lot of the diagnosing and figuring out how to handle it on the day-to-day basis. But I want us to get a little bit more specific this time and talk about the symptoms that I might see in my child and I can't handle it. This child's not responding to anything that any of my other children responded to, like timeouts or spankings or threats of withholding something from them. And so what symptoms should parents look for in child depression?
Well, that's a very good question, John, and thanks for asking that, because that's one of the very frequent appointments or reasons for parents bringing children to my clinic. Well, when a child, particularly a younger child, I'm talking about ages 2.5, 3 and above, to as older as 17 or 17 and a half, very close to being an adult. Behavior problems continues to be the major concern for parents, particularly in younger pre-K, K, and first grade school. And now the problem becomes, when do we think it's a problem? What is the cutoff line between a child, a 2-year-old child who is expected to be jolly, kind of hyperactive, getting into things, exploring world? That's how kids learn how to find out what's new in the world. They're excited about everything. They get excited about even small things. They get into things, they're exploring things, they're learning new things. So at what point we think it's a problem compared to its normal development? Now, it has got, I admit that it's got a lot to do with our culture also, because cultural norms dictate what is
okay.
Or is okay. I come from a very different culture, South Asian culture, and I see Hispanic culture also, and the mainstream culture. In Hispanic culture and my culture, it's okay for the kids to, even if they're in a kind of semi-public place, for example, in a restaurant, things like that, to be a little bit rambunctious. And it comes within a
walk around the table,
or walk away from the chair, from the table, and go into the neighbor's table and ask, hey, what are you eating? I think in my culture, it would be regarded as a cute, because a 3-year-old doing that. Of course, not for a 16-year-old, but for a 3-year-old, it's cute. But that may not be so. It may not be very well taken in probably mainstream Caucasian culture. So there's a lot of cultural things involved in diagnosis. So what really happens, what really demarcates what is abnormal and what is normal, is the severity of it. Usually kids are redirectable. Kids who don't have inattention problems or hyperactivity problems are fairly redirectable. They are able to hold their concentration well and attention well to a certain period of time. They're involved in some form of play or getting along with the kids. The learning process is never hindered. For example, a 2-3-year-old, even he's very hyperactive, he's able to learn and understand things which are age appropriate. They get along with, say, other peers at daycare center or places where they go to. They're not destructive, they're not harmful to themselves, they're not doing things that may be regarded as dangerous. Right? So the point where it becomes a problematic is usually where they are having so much of hyperactivity that as if they look like they're driven by a motor. There's a motor in them, and it's going on, and no matter how much you redirect them or try to counsel them or persuade them to calm down or do anything, they are not able to do that.
You just can't get through to them.
Exactly. It passes right through them.
Is that right?
Right? And these are not, and the kids are not intentionally trying to defy you, but it's not. They don't have the ability to calm themselves down or control their behavior.
But then that creates this turmoil in the home, because the parent becomes frustrated.
Right.
And the kid doesn't understand what's wrong.
Right, right. And it becomes a negative loop cycle. The
Right.
more the frustrated the parent becomes, the child doesn't know what's going on, and the child probably acts out more. And the more the child acts out, the more the parents get frustrated. Young parents particularly suffer from this condition, this problem. So times when the kids are having so much a problem at two scenarios. By definition, the problem in behavior should be in more than one scenario, either at home, school, or at daycare center. So typically when I get patients, they have been kicked out from the daycare center because they are so hyperactive that nothing sinks to them. They get into fights, they get into temper tantrums, they're destructive, they destroy properties out there, they hit and they bite, they scream, and when you direct them, they become much more aggressive. So spanking them, time out with them
Doesn't work.
doesn't touch them. In fact, it sometimes makes it worse because the child gets more upset. So if that kind of problem that happens on a consistent basis or more than 6 months at a time, and usually this kind of problem starts before the age of 7, right? ADHD is a condition that folks are born with it, and they probably will die with it. Just like the color of your eyes, shape of your nose, or your color of your skin.
So you're saying that if you're diagnosed with ADD or ADHD, that all you can do is be controlled by medicine?
Well, a couple of things. Let me tell you, that's a very important question. I'm very happy that you brought it up. ADHD is a condition, it's a very genetic condition. It runs in the family.
Okay.
Now, the presentation of ADHD symptoms tend to vary across the age groups. For example, kids with ADHD, boys particularly, they have what we call the hyperactive kinds of ADHD. They run around, they climb furniture, they do things around, right? Girls predominantly have what we call inattentive type of ADHD, where they space out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they forget things. You talk to them, they're daydreaming all the time. They're missing details of things. They're very clumsy. Those kind of things happens. Now, when these kids turn to adulthood, the hyperactivity type is not there. I mean, you don't see adults with ADHD running around or climbing on furnitures. But the inattentivity part, not able to concentrate, being forgetful, that continues.
We're gonna have to end this program today, but let me tell you what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be doing a series of programs. So if you're out there with a child or a loved one in your family that has depression, has hyperactivity, has ADD, any of these things, tune in next Sunday and the next Sunday, because we're going to be continuing. This is such a fascinating and big subject that we can't do it all in 30 minutes. So we'll see you next Sunday with another program, and Dr. Jane will be back. See you then.
Thanks for joining us for News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery. This has been a public affairs presentation of KWAB TV and KWES TV.